Hello, welcome to LifeTalk. I'm Mark Crutcher, and I'm joined as usual by my lovely co-host, Renee Hobbs. Hello, Renee.
Hello.
And Carol Everett as well. Welcome
Hello.
back, Carol.
Good morning.
Now let's get started with this week's Life in 120.
After award-winning gospel singer Yolanda Adams endorsed Hillary Clinton for president, social media exploded with comments from her fans saying Adams' support for a radically pro-abortion candidate calls into question her claim to be a Christian. The singer's endorsement came on the heels of Clinton's recent praise for abortionist Amna Dermish, who was caught on videotape discussing her plans for harvesting and selling the heads of aborted babies. In May, 8 members of the pro-life youth group Crossroads left California on their annual walk across America as a witness for the unborn. The group was scheduled to reach Washington, D.C. in time for the August 13th rally at the United States Capitol. Crossroads is a Catholic organization but welcomes people of all faiths to participate in its activities. In September of last year, a 15-year-old girl was rushed to a hospital following a botched abortion at the Planned Parenthood facility in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Now, Operation Rescue has obtained a copy of the 911 call showing that the ambulance was dispatched Priority 1, indicating a life-threatening condition. However, the employee who made the call asked that the girl be picked up in the rear of the building and that the ambulance not have its lights or sirens on. In the past, Hillary Clinton always said that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. During her previous run for president, she even once said, quote, and by rare, I mean rare, unquote. However, members of the abortion lobby have often objected to the rare part of her comment, saying that it suggests that there is something wrong with abortion. In an obvious response, Clinton is now saying only that abortion should be safe and legal. This has been Life in 120. For daily news updates, log on to prolifeamerica.com.
Planned Parenthood is claiming, or the abortion industry is claiming, that 1 in 3 women will have an abortion in their lifetime. Now, before the Guttmacher Institute, which is the research arm for Planned Parenthood, said 43% will have an abortion by age of 45, and that turned out to be nonsense. Now they're saying that, oh yeah, it's 30%, and this is based on numbers from 2008. You know, there's an old saying, and I'm sure you've heard it, figures don't lie, but liars do figure. Mm-hmm. This is a classic example of this. Mm-hmm. And if you look at how they came up with these numbers, and you say, well, why would they care, or why would they lie about how many women are having abortions? They want to make it seem mainstream. That, oh yeah, every woman out there is having an abortion. You know, you've had one, you've had 10 of them, you've had 15.
Women in the church have had.
Yeah, well, they have, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that's true, but they really want to concentrate on that.
Right.
They want to destigmatize abortion, and they even have this website, the 1 in 3, where women can go and they can feel comfortable and knowing that there's millions of other women out there that are having abortion. So it's okay for them to have an abortion as well.
Right.
So that's what they're trying to do, is just destigmatize it.
Right, and that's all they're doing.
Right.
And they're willing to lie about it. And if you look at these numbers, how they come up with 1 in 3, first off, they're basing it on 2008 figures. But this is 2016. The abortion rate has plummeted since 2008, but they're still using those numbers.
Right.
And they're applying them to 2016.
Right.
They're saying whatever the percentage was in 2008, that's still what it is in 2016.
It's not.
That's not true. But here's the other thing that they're doing. And again, it goes back to this figures don't lie, but liars do figure thing. What they do is they take the total number of abortions that are happening and the total number of women. And if let's say there's 300 abortions in a particular area and there's 1,000 women, then 30% of those women had abortions, right? That's nonsense. Let's say you have 4 women in a room and you say, what percentage of those women had abortions? Okay, well, there were 4 abortions among those 4 women. That's 1 each, right? But what if one woman had all 4 abortions?
Yeah. They're not considering that.
Then really only 25% of those women had abortions.
Right.
And that's the way they're doing these statistics.
Right.
Well, it works better for them.
It looks better for them.
It's the figure thing.
It's the figures don't lie, but liars do figure thing. And so every time a woman has multiple abortions, which we now know even by their figures, a very high percentage of abortions are multiples.
Almost 50%.
Yeah, almost 50% of all the women who are having abortions have had at least one prior abortion. And we've had women in this that have called us in our office that have had 6 and 7 abortions. Carol, believe this or not, we had a woman call us one time that had 5 abortions in 1 year. Now, you got to work at it
To get pregnant.
to get pregnant 5 times in a year.
But see, that's that justification. See, it's okay, I can do it again.
Right.
It really didn't hurt me, I can do it again. And then she's wounded it over and over, yes.
Well, in this particular case, when we were dealing with this woman, her deal was she had an abortion like in January of that year. And immediately after the abortion, she thinks, I wonder if I can still get pregnant.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah. Oh,
She got pregnant on purpose and then had a second abortion.
yes.
And then she still got the same, well, maybe the second abortion,
Yeah.
I still can't get pregnant.
And we had a phone conversation a couple of weeks ago of a woman that had an abortion that got pregnant purposely. So it happens all the time.
Oh, once you've had an abortion, you start dealing with your fertility and your future fertility, and can you really, yes.
And guilt and all the other issues
yes.
that
Oh, yes,
that
so
are involved
guilty.
in it.
Yes, so guilty. And replacement babies.
Replacement babies, right. And also, one thing that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, we studied this many, many years ago, is anniversary reactions.
Oh, yes.
And it's amazing how often women have a problem and they don't even recognize that it was it happens every year on the anniversary of their either the due date of the baby or the date they had the abortion. They have some sort of anniversary reaction.
Yeah, I just had that conversation with somebody not long ago where she had the baby on the anniversary of the baby she had aborted.
Right.
Yeah, and she couldn't celebrate the baby's birthday. She was devastated, sad.
Dealing
Yeah.
with that,
It was
yes.
sad. I think something's going on in the abortion industry that we need to really be aware of. We all know that for years there's been this internecine battle with inside the abortion industry. Planned Parenthood has made a concerted effort to shut down all their opposition. And, we've seen it time and time here, Renee, where 3 abortion clinics will close in a year in a given community, and then a new Planned Parenthood opens up in that same community. And then over here, 4 abortion clinics close, and then Planned Parenthood comes in there. And we've got comments on the National Abortion Federation tapes here in our office where these so-called independents, abortion independents, are complaining about Planned Parenthood's business practices of coming in and selling abortions cheap, putting them out of business, and then going about their business. And it's obvious that Planned Parenthood has been trying to create a monopoly in the abortion business. Nobody disputes that. And, of course, this has caused a lot of hard feelings inside the abortion industry. But the pro-life movement has kind of ignored this, saying, well, this is an internal matter, and it really doesn't affect us one way or the other. I think that this effort to take over the abortion business by Planned Parenthood is part of a bigger agenda. I don't think it has anything to do with having a monopoly on abortion. I think that what Planned Parenthood is angling toward is becoming an agency of the federal government. I think, and when I first say this to people, and I think I've even kind of alluded to it here on the show before, people kind of look at me like, you're nuts, they're not interested. But then you start thinking about it a little bit, and you start looking at some of the things that are going on. I'm thinking that they want to be brought into the federal government, probably as a division of the Department of Health and Human Services, and be under Obamacare, be the nation's abortion provider under Obamacare. This would eliminate all of the independents. They're out. Planned Parenthood wouldn't then have the monopoly that they're seeking. And I'll talk in a minute about the economic benefits of that. But I want to give my evidence for this. When I first started becoming suspicious about this was back toward the end of the Bush 43 administration. We started seeing all of a sudden out of nowhere Planned Parenthood building these massive facilities around the country. Now, I want you to think about the environment that existed at that time. The abortion industry was shrinking. Number of abortion clinics was going down. We started out, when I started Life Dynamics in '92, there were 2,126 freestanding abortion clinics in America. Today there's 500 and, what is it?
550, something like
Yeah,
that.
you keep up with it better than I do. 550 abortion clinics. So in other words, this is a contracting business environment, right?
Yes.
The number of abortions has gone down dramatically. In 1992, 1993, in that era, 1991, 1.7 million abortions. Today, it's slightly under 1 million. Well, that's still an obscenity that we would kill 1 million babies a year. But what that means is there are 2,000 fewer abortions being done in America today per day than there were 25 years ago. So the abortion business is contracting, right? They're also complaining that they can't keep their staffs complete because people don't want to go into the abortion industry. So you've got a contracting environment, a shrinking pool. Political support for abortion has plummeted since those days. Why would you start building these massive facilities? And if you look at Planned Parenthood from a business model, which is what it is a business. And my background is in business. I can tell you, any legitimate business consultant would tell you in that kind of contracting market, you don't expand your facilities.
Not mega centers anyway, not mega huge buildings.
And you look at that, just one example is the one down in Houston.
Yes.
What was that, $26 million?
7,700 and something square feet.
Right.
A bank building, 7 stories.
When the 7-story building, $26 million renovation or whatever it cost them to put the things on a expensive freeway in Houston, at a time when their abortion rate is going down, right? Why would you do that? And so I'm looking at it from a business perspective. And they're admitting that of those 7 floors, 2 of them are completely empty,
Oh, yes.
right? Why would you do that? My only conclusion of this was, they want those mega centers. What they're doing is they're going to model the abortion industry in America after the Veterans Administration. And that's the model they're using. And the way the VA works is you have these regional centers. Veterans hospitals, VA hospitals, that are then augmented by little satellite centers in small towns. Like Denton doesn't have a gigantic VA hospital, but Dallas does. But we have small veterans clinics here that, take care of the veterans. Planned Parenthood already had the satellite centers because, like we said, every time 3 of these abortion clinics go out of business, they run in there and put a new one in. So they've got the satellites around the country. Do you realize that at the time when all these abortion clinics are shutting down and the numbers are going down, Planned Parenthood clinics are actually going up? There's more of them now than there were 2 years ago.
Yes, and since HB2 passed, they've opened 2 centers.
Right.
With another one on the books.
So they're tickled to death to see us shut down these independents. So in other words, what I'm saying is at the end of the Bush administration, when they started this gigantic building process, they had the satellite centers already. What they didn't have was the mega centers. That's what they started building. And I think it's obvious. To me, if people think it's not, if they say, well, I don't know that they really want to become an agency of the government, and I think that's exactly what they're wanting to do. If they think they're not, then tell me what is the business model that you would use to justify this massive building campaign at a time when the market is shrinking? What if the auto industry went from selling 10 million cars a year to 4 million cars a year? Do you think that General Motors would be out here building these mega centers all over the country, 5 and 6, 10 times bigger than anything they had in the past?
No.
They would not do that. No business would do that.
No.
So there had to be a bigger agenda going on here. And I think we're running the risk of looking up here one day and seeing a press conference with Barack Obama standing beside Cecile Richards and some other pro-aborts and announcing that Planned Parenthood has now been brought into the federal government as a division of the Health and Human Services. And I guarantee you, one of the things they'll do is they'll change the name. It won't be Planned Parenthood anymore because that's got an odor to it. And it'll be the United States Department of Women and Reproductive Health or something like that.
They're already changing their names.
Right.
They're already opening under family planning and other
Right.
names.
Right.
Esperanza, depends on where they are.
Right.
Yes.
So I think they're laying the groundwork. And what I don't want to have happen is that we look up here one day and this press conference is happening and we all of a sudden go, whoa, all the signs were there. Why didn't we see this coming?
Well, what do we do, Mark? What do we do?
I think we can fight this politically right now.
I think we start talking about it like you are.
Right. I think
and
we
the
need
people out there listening to us.
we need
talk
to be
about it.
sitting down with the pro-life members of our state houses, but primarily the pro-life members of Congress and the Senate, and saying we need to be putting protections in place right now. Now, Planned Parenthood is going to deny that this is their goal.
Of course.
All right, if you're going to deny this is your goal, that's fine. We'll take you at your word. We're going to propose standalone legislation not tied to anything else that says an organization structured such as Planned Parenthood can never be brought into the federal government. If that's not your plan, I assume then that you don't have a problem with that, right?
Yes.
There are all sorts of things that we can do to head it off. But once it's a fait accompli, once they've done it, it'll be 100 times harder to try to stop it. And let me tell you some of the ramifications of this. First off, it will solve a lot of the economic problems that the abortion industry is having today. They haven't been able to raise prices in 40 years. The price of a first trimester abortion today is basically the same as it was in 1974 and 1975. They're trying to change every $300 or $400 customer-paid abortion into a $4,000 government-paid abortion. That's what they're trying to do here.
Well, and they're already doing it in some states.
Right, they are.
Like New Mexico pays $9,000 for an abortion.
Right. So
Medicaid.
they're already laying the groundwork for this. But there's other things to consider here too. Remember this, their budget then will become a part of the government appropriations process. They don't have to go out and raise money anymore.
It's over.
And
They expand, they do everything,
every
yeah.
month. Every year, the appropriations for Planned Parenthood will go up. But one of the problems that we really need to be thinking about is they know they're losing with kids, and they're making a concerted effort to go after young people. And they're trying to get into the schools, even in pre-K. They're trying to go way down.
They can get to children that are in government-funded schools as early as 2, and that they have a book for 2-year-olds. What's yours? I mean, why should 2-year-olds talk about what their sexual organs are?
Right.
They really want to. And the other thing they're doing is they're trying to encourage, of course, sexual activity. We've known that forever, but they're trying to get IUDs in girls as early as 14, an intrauterine
Right.
contraceptive device. And that, years ago when those came out, they would only put them in a woman who'd had a baby. Now they're trying, and what is that going to do to their fertility, and what does all this sexual activity do to these kids? And there's a whole other side to this too that's destructive to our youth.
Yeah, but I'd ask you, Renee, you have school-age children. Planned Parenthood is not in the Ponder school system.
No.
Right. And they would probably have a devil of a time trying to get in.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right. But if they go to the Ponder school board and they say, wait a minute, we're a Department of the Health and Human Services, it's going to be almost impossible to keep them out then.
That's when I pray that the parents rise up and
Yeah, but we've seen
lock
that
the
parents-
doors.
Unfortunately, parents don't rise up. That's the problem.
Yeah, it is.
But the fact is that once they become a government agency, 2 things are going to happen. First off, school boards aren't going to be able to keep them out of the schools. The second thing is there's going to be a perception created that Planned Parenthood's value-neutral, contraception-based sex education is the official position of the federal government because here it is being advocated by an agency of the federal government.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Our job gets exponentially harder the moment that this happens. And all I'm saying is, if people can disagree with me, and I'm sure they will, I'm writing a new article right now that I want to put out because I'm trying to ring the alarm bell here. And they can disagree with me, and I'm sure there'll be pro-lifers saying, oh, you're baying at the moon here. This is not really what's happening. You better be paying attention. At least consider the possibility that this is what they're doing.
There has been some that have disagreed, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
It's what's happening, though.
but because once it happens,
You can't
you can't unring that
change
bell.
it. It's done.
And people say, well, no, that's not necessarily true. Well, let me ask you this. In your lifetime, Carol, we're a lot older than Renee, so we'll just stick between me and you. How many government agencies have we seen disbanded and shut down?
0.
0. It doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen.
Once they're in there, they're there.
Forever.
You'll never get rid of them. And if you don't believe that, go out and study what the REA is, Rural Electrification Administration, right? Yes. They were started to electrify rural areas of the country back when cities first started getting electricity,
Yes.
right?
Before our time, Mark.
Long before our time, right?
Yes.
Before our parents' time.
Yes, actually.
Right?
Yes.
They're still out there.
They're still there.
How do you get rid of them? You can't get rid of them. They're like cockroaches. Once you
And
got
what
them,
are they electrifying now is what I want to know.
I don't know. But government agencies are like cockroaches. Once you
Yes.
have them, you can't get rid of them.
No.
So that's why it's important that we fight this thing right now. We be aware of this. And let me ask this. If we put up a fight against this and it turns out that I am baying at the moon, what have we lost?
We haven't lost a thing.
Nothing.
But this needs to be done at the federal level and in every state.
Right. We got to stop this
Yeah.
right now. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win. because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next week.